Let's get to some headlines from across the state of Texas. Let's start with something that happened a couple weeks ago, but because of all of our enthusiasm over the cover and the magazine release and stuff like that, we are the top line should say declines. But we are going to talk about what happened at the state executive committee meeting for the UIL. So one of the things that they were keeping an eye on, this is of course the annual meeting of the state executive committee, where usually you can count on, this is where you're looking for rules changes, right? This is where you are looking for things that will impact football coming up into the 2025 season. And one of the things that was on the docket that people were keeping an eye on was going to be girls flag football. We've talked about that. We've had it on Texan Live. We've had 7-on-7, or rather girls flag football on Texan Live. It's been kind of growing across the state of Texas. And the UIL Standing Committee on Athletics voted Wednesday this was last Wednesday, to take no action on the measure. There were two things that they were really paying attention to. One of them was a shot clock for basketball. I won't get into it. That gets basketball people really hot and bothered about when you start talking about the shot clock. And the other one was girls flag football. The Dallas Cowboys, of course, recently launched a high school girls flag football league. There are 14 other states that have sanctioned it. But right now, they have declined to add it to sanction it as a UIL sport. Now, I think that it's important to read into what the UIL did here. They basically have three options here when they get a measure like this. They can either accept it, they can decline it, or they can take no action on it. And instead, what they decided to do was kind of that middle ground of, we're not going to take any action, we're going to continue to study it. Let me tell you something, as someone who has paid attention to the UIL for a fair amount of time and tends to understand what this means. This is not a no, it's a not right now. That's usually what that means. I would not consider flag football to be dead. As far as Texas high school, or as far as Texas high school girls flag football in the future. But I do think that them saying we are going to continue to study it means, let's talk about it later. We don't want to talk about it right now. Let's talk about it later. Let's get some more data. My guess, and again, this is now me speculating. I want to make sure I'm drawing clear delineations between what I know and what I think. What I think is that they want to see how this girls flag football league for the Dallas Cowboys goes over the next few years. I think they want to see maybe 3 years of data from the girls flag football league and see what kind of appetite there is. Because the UIL does not want to sanction a sport that then is going to have 5% of schools participating in it. I think that what they want is they want to have a widespread success, something that a large amount of schools want to participate in. And so I think if you're paying attention to this, pay attention to the growth. Pay attention to how many new girls flag football teams crop up. That, I think, is going to be the key here. My guess, again, we're just the delineation between things I know and things I think. I think we're still a couple of years away from girls flag football becoming a UIL sanctioned sport. But also, the UIL intentionally did not reject it, which means they're keeping an eye on it. I take them at their word when they say they're going to continue to study it. My guess is they want to see the growth rate there as far as Texas high school girls 7-on-7 or girls flag football is concerned.
Having a conversation about it also does a lot.
Yeah, it increases its visibility, and the fact even a headline like the UIL declines to add girls flag football gets girls flag football into the mainstream. it kind of opens up the Overton window about it. So something we're keeping an eye on. Does not look like it is imminent in the future, but it is something that I think the UIL will consider, continue to consider. That's one thing that I think is the big headline as far as football is concerned, coming out of the State Executive Committee meeting down in Austin. Another thing, this came down last week. The UIL Texas High School Football State Championship games have a new broadcast home. They will be broadcast on Victory Plus, the streaming app that is mainly known for covering the Dallas Stars. It launched in 2024. And they will be broadcasting the 2025 Texas High School Football State Championship games. They signed a deal with the UIL, full disclosure, brokered by Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dave Campbell's Texas Sports, rather, brokered a deal for a 5-year agreement to air select playoff games as well as the UIL Texas High School Football State Championship games. So the Victory Plus will be the new home of the UIL Texas High School Football State Championship games for the next couple of years. Believe it or not, here on June 23rd, we have honest-to-God coaching changes to report. One of them, let's go down to Baytown Lee. Baytown Lee is looking for a new head coach. This was last week, I believe last Friday. Tim Finn, who has been the head coach for 24 seasons, announced his retirement on June 19th. He retires with a 147-109 record in 24 seasons as a head coach. So Baytown Lee, a 5A school, is looking for a head coach in late June, right now.
Wow.
This does happen sometimes. And in my experience, I have not talked with Tim Finn, I want to be clear. In my experience, usually there is a calculation to be made here. And that calculation is Tim Finn is probably trying to make it so that a guy inside his own staff will get the head coaching job. This is usually what happens. Generally speaking, and talking with coaches who have done something like this before, where they've retired very late in the offseason, generally speaking, what you tend to see is, okay, I'm going to retire late. You're not going to have time to do a full-on coaching search. You are instead going to promote my guy, the guy I want to be the head coach. There's a little bit of controlling the timeline here with something like this. That's a guess. I haven't talked with Tim Finn. I want to be clear. But I do think that generally speaking, that's what happens. I would look for Baytown Lee to stay internal. What's interesting, though, is that their defensive coordinator, Spencer Anthony, just took the job at Baytown Sterling. So who knows what's going on down there, but my guess for Baytown Lee, now that Tim Finn has retired, is that they will be looking internally for them. Next up, let's talk about Ozona. This is a honest-to-God, in June 10th, coaching change and a coaching, move. Ozona has been looking for a new head coach for the past couple of weeks, with Jared Taylor taking an assistant coach's role in a different district. So they've been looking for a head coach. He went 28-26 in 5 seasons. Ozona has gone and plucked Jason Pitts from New Diana to be their next head coach. Now, something to be said about that is Ozona is not near New Diana. If you don't know, Ozona is between Sonora and Fort Stockton. It's way out west in what you would probably call Permian Basin / Concho Valley area. Way out west. New Diana, way out east. So Jason Pitts making moves here. New Diana is a really interesting job because one of the things, and I know you and I have been doing Math Tuesday segments, and we have very high hopes for New Diana heading into 2025. They've got one of the most electrifying players in Texas high school football in DeJuan Johnson. Their incredible playmaker who put up nearly, he put up more than 3,500 total yards last year in a mere 12 games. This guy was unbelievable, and he's coming back for his junior season. So that is a huge move there. New Diana looking for a new head coach as their head coach, Jason Pitts, has taken the job at Ozona. He's moving across the country, basically.
Country of Texas.
The nation of Texas. Coaching alert in Frisco Emerson. We talked about this. Frisco Emerson has been looking for a new head coach for a hot minute now because their head coach, Kendall Miller, took the job as the athletic director at Plano ISD. Emerson, a program on the rise there in Frisco ISD, led them to a state semifinal appearance back in 2023. They have promoted their defensive coordinator, Billy Ellis, to be their next head coach. That happened last week. Billy Ellis, an established name there as their defensive coordinator. That is, again, not a surprise in my mind. Anytime you've got a coaching vacancy this late in the game, the answer for me is always going to be look internally. And I think that is what they are. That's what's going on here. So keep an eye on that. But new head coach there at Frisco Emerson is their defensive coordinator, Billy Ellis. To Splendora we go. Let's go to Southeast Texas, talk about the Wildcats of Splendora. They've been looking for a new head coach since Brandon Krause left after another 1 year. This will be their third head coach in 3 seasons. It will be Robbie DeHeck, the former Euless Trinity defensive backs coach, will take the job there at Splendora. They're moving forward. So Robbie DeHeck, the new head coach at Splendora. And then finally, let's talk about one other coaching change, and one that maybe you haven't paid a ton of attention to. Talk about Sterling City. Okay, Sterling City is a 2A program it's been making the move up from 6-man football up to 11-man football, and it's been relatively successful for Sterling City. They have been looking for a new head coach ever since their head coach DJ Howell took the job at Fort Stockton. They have hired a six-man assistant at Justine named Kellen Luker. Now, Kellen Luker may be a name that Texas high school football aficionados know as one of the most electrifying players in Texas high school football history. The former Stephenville quarterback and a guy who is most recently, who had been an assistant at Stephenville. He is going to be the next head coach at Sterling City. Of course, he bounced around. There's a remarkable story Carter Yates wrote about him. He went to SMU. He kind of dropped out to start a rock band before returning to football. And now a guy who was, again, one of the most decorated players in Texas high school football history, Kellen Luker, is now going to be the next head coach at Sterling City. They're moving up to take over there for the Eagles. Also, one other thing to draw your attention to on TexasFootball.com, there are still a handful of programs that do not have a head coach. Okay? Do not have a head coach. Tehanas, looking for a new head coach. Pasadena Memorial, looking for a new head coach. We mentioned New Diana, looking for a head coach. Baytown Lee, looking for a new head coach. And Colmesneal, looking for a new head coach. 5 programs here on June 23rd looking for a head coach. A little late in the game, but they'll get there. Fall's coming soon, though. Fall's coming soon.
Fall's coming.